fucking amazing that stuff's legal.
Did you watch 60 Minutes? That was the motherfuckers.
What was it?
Just about the opioid epidemic and how the DEA stopped prosecuting. The word came from it's just a nightmare. They're fucking terrible, those things. Listen, those things are terrible.
Yeah, there was a whole article recently about it that sells most of the opiates and the family that's behind that company and how many billions of dollars that they've made off the opioid crisis. Opioid or beard? How we say it? Opioid. How we say it wrong?
Once that grips you, that synthetic heroin, that's what that, right, is.
Essentially, yeah.
It's a bad grip. Like I said, I took a 16th one night in my living room and I had to lay down. And that's my whole resume with Oxycontins. And I'm a fucking mule. I can eat 2,000 milligrams of THC and live a 16th of one of those pills. I popped, it was just a little piece, nothing. My blood pressure dropped so fucking much. I just laid down, went to sleep, and I knew my pill career had come to an end. And never even let it start.
Really?
Never even let it start. Can you believe, brother? In 2 weeks, it's going to be 10 years since I've done that wipeout. I want you to think about that.
Wow.
I want you to really think about it. I still remember being at Cobb's with you that January. And like going in 2 months, I don't know if I could really do this shit. Like if I could control this feeling. And I controlled it.
So you, like when you quit, what was like the first week like? Hell.
First 2 weeks were hell.
Did you think of going back, just like I can't do this? That you had to make a change?
I had to change. I knew that my spine was starting to hurt. I knew that I was starting to get jolted. In your spine, 4 in the morning, after you do coke, right at the tip over here.
A lot of people in coke get like Parkinson's.
Yeah, fuck that. No. Once I started,
so you think that a lot of old timers that did a lot of coke in the 70s, and then they wound up like some serious neuromuscular diseases?
Absolutely. That shit shot your central nervous system. There was times I did cocaine that was like electric. It was like when you put that thing in your hand, or you get electrocuted, you could feel the electric in your body, and like that, like in your brain, like you could actually see the neurotransmitters are fucking on fire. You could feel that. I could tell when I would go on stage after doing 2 or 3 nights of blow that week. I had no control. I really had no control over my material. I had no control over my delivery. That's what I wanted to tell you.
Like the way you communicate was just off?
Yeah, your mind can't grip it. You can't sell the joke. The facial doesn't connect with the hand movement or the breathing. So, like, I knew that was always going to be a danger in the future. Now, I take all that for like a year. I drank those, what's your buddy's name that makes the neurosurgeon milkshakes? The football player that fucking beat the guy up, Rogan. I took all his stuff for like a year just to.
Did you?
Yeah, the orange drink and stuff.
Pretty Neuro, good. That stuff. Did that help you?
Yeah, good. It felt a lot better.
Like give your brain nutrients?
Give me some control. Yeah, but 10 years. I mean that I had to do a benefit in Hoboken, and I had gotten high like that whole summer. I tried to get off coke. I was doing the heroin. I was trying to get off the coke and shit. And then that September, I ran out of heroin. So I was doing it like maybe once a week. And the whole thing went down in Maryland. I knew I had to stop. And then I had this thing in Hoboken. I went.
Whole thing died?
She was dying. I went back east that week. And she was dying. I don't know what happened. It was like, you know what? I was trying to get coke on Friday. Couldn't get it. And I just took it for what it was. I was trying to get coke on Saturday. I couldn't get it. So fuck it. I took the plane back Sunday. I couldn't get it here. Something happened. I couldn't get it. And then that Monday I had a meeting to do a movie. And at the end of the meeting, the guy said, listen, man, we know about your drug problem. So before you say yes, we want you to think about this because you can't miss a day on this movie. You cannot be late. If you're late, the whole movie can't shoot because it was a cast. Mm-hmm. We all shot in one room. It was an AA meeting. So I thought about it, I do it. And that was the roughest fucking month ever because I was just going home, and before 8 o'clock would start, I would just go to bed because 8 o'clock was my cocaine time. That's when my body would start to ache. That's when I couldn't even... You could be telling me the most important thing in your life, and I'd be watching you, but I couldn't hear. All my mind focusing on was getting that blow at 8 o'clock. Figure out how to get the $60. You know, I'm going to go to the ATM machine. I would shoot over to Rock and Roll Rouse. There's that ATM machine in front of Rock and Roll Rouse right there.
Yeah.
And I would take $60 out there. Dog, I would run every red light to get to that ATM machine. Like, I didn't give a fuck. And then from there, I would just make the U-turn, go to my dealer's house, and go home and leave the coke there. And then I was ready for the night. I was in peace just knowing that the coke was at the... I didn't have to do it.
You know, I've never been physically addicted to something in a way where I had a hard time kicking it, but I've had some psychological addictions for sure. And I think that one of the things that I've gotten out of this month of the Sober October thing that Tom, Bert, and Ari and I are doing is that a lot of it is psychological.
A lot of it.
Knowing that we can't smoke pot or can't drink all month, you start thinking about, we're at the home stretch, November 1st, around the corner. Like, I don't really feel like I need to get high. It's not like I need a drink tomorrow, but it's knowing that I can't do it for the month where it hangs over your head. So that's what's even more impressive, that you could kick it, because it's not just the fact that you have like a physical problem, but you also have this psychological problem. Like the psychological part of it is like it's a pattern that you're comfortable with. You got used to that pattern of 8 o'clock, you're looking for the coke, you go and do it, and then you're off. It's like you're off, even though you're in chaos, your life's in disarray, and you're in the grips of addiction, you're comfortable with that feeling. You've been there before. And for whatever reason, when people get used to fucking up, and they go, why do I keep fucking up? One of the reasons you keep fucking up is because you're used to fucking up. And it's not an uncomfortable feeling in the sense that you know it. It might suck, but you know it's the devil you know. You know.
There was nothing I want to do it, and I still did it. Do you understand me?
Yeah,
like I didn't want to do it. Like I didn't need to do it. I didn't
Right.
feel. I just wanted to do it.
But it was just
do.
Wow.
It was just do. But you know what I tell people all the time is you want to have to quit. It just doesn't happen. Like, I quit at 44. I'm no fucking genius. But it took me 2 years. Like, it was a 2-year struggle, like a personal little struggle. Like,
when did you know that it was with you that you were free? Because you did AA or
no,
Narcotics Anonymous?
No, I went on an AA meeting, and I went in Hollywood, which everything is good until you go to it in Hollywood. Because in Hollywood, you add the dramatic and the actor image to it. You know, if you go to an AA meeting in Jersey, they're in there smoking Camel Reds, fucking talking from the heart. You go to an AA meeting in Hollywood, you got people with AA tattoos on their arm. You know, it's a fucking jamboree.
They just had her in.
And then what happens is, after about 2 months in this area, for some reason, I've noticed because I have a lot of friends in an AA, somebody approaches you and says, hi, you know, what's going on? You're like, I'm struggling. They're like, well, have you seen Dr. Bob? They're like, Dr. Bob. I'm just making this name up. Dr. Bob, oh my God. Tell him about Dr. Bob. Tell Joe about Dr. Bob has changed your whole life. So basically, you'll see Dr. Bob. He gives you bullshit referendum, whatever, what you have. You know, like, you're bipolar. Right. You're this. Now they start shooting Adderall at you. Holy shit at you. So you're really not sober. Really not sober. You see, now, after I got clean, I discovered I had a problem. I discovered I was bipolar or Johnny Gubats or this, that, or this.
Right.
Now that medication they give you, you know, on top of the opiate epidemic, how bad a fucking Adderall? How fucked the Adderall?
Worst environment. I was on this discussion about kratom. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, I just took some. I fucked my knee up the other day. I did something, and it's been stiff and painful, so I iced it before I came here, and then I just took 6 of them. See what happens.
Wow.
I took 10 once. Oof.
10 1-gram
pills?
capsules?
Yeah.
I don't know how much.
I don't know. Can you grab that? But exactly what's in it. But now I get why people might think it's a drug.
What is a drug?
Yeah, for sure. But when I took 4, I was like, well, I took 2 for the first time I took it. I took 2, and then a couple times I took 2. And I'm like, this is like a mild stimulant. But then when you get into the range of 8 to 10 pills, it's like, oh, this will fuck you up. This stuff. The stuff I take is Urban Ice Organics, and see, it says take 2.
It doesn't say the amount of material in the capsule.
What does it say there?
750 milligrams. Okay.
So not quite a gram.
Not quite a gram. All right. Seems like a reasonable amount. But they always construct these things in these ridiculous, dramatic oppositions. Like me versus a woman's son had died of some kratom-associated overdose. And, you know, it turns into a thing like, well, what do you have to say? This woman whose son died. It's like, I don't know, from caffeine overdoses as well. It's tragic that this happens.
Have people done this?
Yes. They
Have to take
an enormous amount. I mean, I think a lot of people see these unrealistic expectations with these drugs where if they like a drug, they want to say, it's impossible to kill anyone. It's impossible. There's no possible way. If you set that as you always fail, because people will die doing absolutely thing, running, having sex, defecating. Aspirin, absolutely. There's nothing in this world that can't find its way into a human death. So people want to say, and even, cannabis, obviously, people say you can't, essentially you can't. But if you look in the medical literature, there are a number of these cannabis-associated maladies. You can debate them. But the point is, once a drug enters a large enough population, there'll be a number of sensitive individuals, and someone will die. It doesn't mean that it's dangerous. It means that it's unrealistic to set a standard where if anything bad happens to anyone, you have to decide that the drug is dangerous and should be banned.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, water kills people. There's a lot of these hazing things where the fraternity kids will be asked to drink a shit ton of water, and people have died from it. A woman died in San Jose a few years back from a contest to drink water to get her son like an Xbox or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that are lethal. But the LD50 for cannabis is like, you literally have to smoke your body weight or something, right?
It's
crazy.
It would be very difficult.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't get so high that you did something really stupid and wind up dying.
Right.
Yeah, especially dependent upon the person and the biological variabilities.
Right, exactly. And I think it's just a sort of a bad road to go down. People always want to emphasize the safety of things, but in my opinion, safety isn't the point. It doesn't ultimately matter to me. I think we should have the freedom to do dangerous things if we choose. We're allowed to ride cycles. We're allowed to shoot guns. You're allowed to go skydiving and bungee jumping. All those things carry risks, but it's assumed that any adult that does them is aware of those risks.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's also if the society that we live in was just you and I, we were the only two people alive. Who are you to tell me what I can do or me to tell you what you can do? It's ridiculous. And so when you have grown adults, telling a grown adult who's informed what they can and can't do, then it becomes a question of children. Well, then it becomes an education issue, and it becomes a parental issue. I mean, it's just you can't lie to your children about the effects of certain drugs, because then they're not going to believe you about the actual dangerous ones.
Right. And this is, of course, reflected in the so-called opioid epidemic.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes.
There's endless finger pointing. One wants to find a culprit that's behind all of it. And the easiest person, companies, because everybody hates pharmaceutical companies, so why not blame them?
Right.
But, and I'm not pro-pharmaceutical by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not anti-pharmaceutical either. And when you look at for example, the New York Times is covering the opioid epidemic. It's always documents were uncovered that show that executives at Purdue Pharma were aware that morphine was addictive early as 1999. And it's like, well, of course they were aware. People have known that morphine is addictive for 100 years. This is old news. And this whole idea that some letter in the New England Journal of Medicine that said that OxyContin is absurd. These are all morphine derivatives. Any adult, especially a medically trained adult, should know that no matter what little variation you make on that molecule, if it's structurally and pharmacologically qualitatively similar to morphine, of course it's going to be addictive. And bad thing, it should be okay to give people addictive drugs as well, as long as everyone's aware of the risks.
As long as they understand the protocol to get off of it. There's so many people that get on these things and then wind up taking them far longer than they're supposed to because it's easy to get hooked. I mean, we need to at least have some sort of responsible direction that these people need to go to get off of them once they're on them. Because people that get back operations, anything where they prescribe you high doses of opiates, it's a huge problem. I know many, many people that have gotten hooked because of it. And in fact, I should tell you that my good friend Justin Wren, his wife found out about Kratom because of you, because of your show. He had a problem with his shoulder, got shoulder surgery. They put him on OxyContins. He was fucked up on them, and he was having a really hard time getting off it, having the shakes really bad, and Kratom is the only thing that got him off of it.
Right, and that's not surprising. I mean, this has been known for a very long time in Thailand, and actually the reason that it was originally prohibited, I don't know if you're aware of that, but because the government taxed opium and people started using kratom, Then they made kratom legal.
Is that the right way to say it? Because people say kratom. You're the only one I've heard say.
It's a Thai word. People in Thailand call it kratom.
Oh, okay.
So people in the U.S. call it kratom. It's also they have maybe it's like kratom, something like that. But I'm not going to go that. But kratom is closer.
If you did, it would be weird.
yeah. I'm not, but I feel I was
like people that say Ecuador, Argentina.
But it is kratom.
Kratom. Okay. So we call it kratom.
Or something close to that. It's closer to that than kratom.
Right. And so the reason why it was made illegal was because of the fact that it was pinching some of the profits off of the opium trade.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And so this has been a long time that it helps people get opioids. And
how does it do that?
Well, it's an opioid itself, and a lot of people don't want to admit or acknowledge that, but I think we get beyond this idea that drugs are inherently bad or opioids are inherently bad just because the ones that we're aware of have a lot of problems. In some sense, medicinal chemistry and pharmacology and all are still in a very primitive state, and there's so much to learn. So we're mostly giving people these derivatives of opium that have been around for 100 years, and there are better things. We're going to continuously discover less addictive treatments for pain, and I think that the alkaloids in kratom, which is so tragic that they're trying to now make it illegal, because this is something that, as I can tell, has genuinely helped an enormous number of people reduce their intake of more addictive and more dangerous opioids.
One of the things that I felt, and again, my dose was not extremely high, but when I was on it, I was very coherent. It was clear to me that I was affected by something, but it felt kind of good. It didn't feel bad. It felt a little uneasy, like whoa, the world feels a little weird right now. But it did not feel like I was impaired. Like, I know a lot of people who take it and exercise. Like, I have a friend, he'll take 10 pills and exercise. It just seems kind of fucking crazy. It's a great workout.
Right. By
taking that stuff before he works out.
It seems to lend itself to a lot. In Thailand, it's used almost exclusively for that sort of purpose. In the South, it's a drug laborers use so they can, collect the latex from rubber trees and just get their job done. That's what it's about. That's what opioids are for a lot of the world, both in the United States and in Africa. People live hard lives, and manual labor is painful and repetitive and difficult, and anything that makes that a little bit more manageable is a very important tool for humans.
I felt like people that did heroin or opiates or something like that were on a very short road to death. That was my perception when I was a kid. And then I had a friend who was a longshoreman. They worked on the docks. They would bring fish in and fillet the fish for the market. And he worked with a guy that every day at lunch, the guy would go cop. He would get his heroin. He would shoot it up in his car, and then he'd go back to work. And I was like, he'd go back to work? And you're like, yep, he worked every day. Like, every day he shot up, and every day he worked. Like, yeah. He was never late. Nope. Just did his work. Like,
right.
Wow. Well, I didn't think you could do that. I thought you did heroin. The next thing you know, you'd just be on the floor in a fetal position in your own urine, and you just would fall apart and die.
Right. It's this idea that people sometimes refer to as pharmacological determinism, that a certain drug has to do a thing. So alcohol has to sedate and inhibit you. Heroin has to addict you and make you a slave to it and kill you. Cocaine has to be a euphoric thing that's done at part. PCP has to make you strip nude and run around fighting cops and shing holes in wooden fences. But when you look at this, anthropologists have looked at certain drugs that are used culturally, like alcohol, and what you find is this whole idea of determinism is fundamentally flawed. Drugs behave differently in different cultures, depending on that and setting of the user. And so you find all sorts of instances that are major extends to these rules that we've set up for these various drugs. For example, PCP, which is ubiquitously maligned drugs in the world. No one can imagine that PCP is null, but even to this day, P is in Schedule 2, not Schedule 1 like cannabis and LSD. Schedule 2, it can still be prescribed, actually, and that's because it had a history of medicinal use. There was even in the UK in the 50s. So this is something that most people believe, but to those patients that were taking it then, there was none of this cultural association with PCP being a drug that causes psychosis, you strip nude. It was simply another tool for a psychiatrist to people release repressed memories or traumas that they were afraid to talk when sober.
Well, we're seeing that now with MDMA, right? And also ketamine. Ketamine being used as an actual tool for psychotherapy, particularly for people with depression. It's having really good results. My friend, excuse me, Neil Brennan, who's a hilarious comedian, he's had struggles with depression. He got great relief from taking ketamine.
Right. And what I think is really interesting is, this is often packaged as a sort of psychedelic renaissance, but I think in a facilitated psychotherapy renaissance, because this was not just limited to psychedelics. People did something called narcoanalysis, where they would give people like propofol, the drug that killed Michael Jackson, or various barbiturates or various other drugs, and they would talk more openly to a therapist, and it was considered very effective. Now this idea of a psychiatrist injecting you with a drug in order to help you talk about your problems it's heard of. I don't think anyone does it anymore, but it used to be very common, and I think a return to that is going to be really beneficial.
There was an energy I tapped into that felt was playing a role, but I couldn't figure out what the plot was. Where somebody show up like a page one rewrite.
Right.
That's what we fucking need,
Yeah.
And it got away from me. And had it not been encouraged, I think it could have been curtailed. It could have been shut down a lot sooner.
You become kind of captured to the image.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just recently, something I stumbled onto, I was in some way, I was being a bully. It had a bullying kind of energy about it, and I've never been that way. I was attacking people, and I was challenging people. I was like a tough guy on the block, and had all these soldiers. I had this whole cadre behind me, and it was like, inviting people into the ring. I've never been in the ring. What are we doing,
You're on it's total cocaine behavior.
Among other things. And I think there was a whole testosterone component as well. Was out of control, because there's what do they run, like a quarter-sized dollop and like every other day. And no, there's a line in the book where I say I was slathering that shit on like a fucking Pond's commercial.
Oh, so you're using the cream?
Yeah, which is hard to measure. It's interesting, because when you finally get something from something, you start to realize that it wasn't really so much about what you said it was about in the moment. And I'm really realizing it wasn't about the job, wasn't about Chuck. It was about all the stuff in my personal life. It was about trying to just be a certain guy at work, be a certain guy at home, and then just never having the time to be a certain guy with me. And I just couldn't find any place to find any refuge or solace, or any type of just a moment to breathe, just to decompress,
That's all.
And it's not in the book, because I don't remember it well enough to put it in the book, and that was I decided what's in there and what's not, right? Or if something just isn't true, it's not in the book. And so, but I was trying to just kind of, I went through 2 divorces and had 4 children during that run of 8 years, and so
that's crazy.
It's insane, yeah. And they both, they fell apart for myriad reasons and whatever, but there wasn't time to heal the last one before the next one kicked off, but that's all on me. You know what I'm saying? That's all on me making those decisions. It's one of the through lines in the book, is that it like really comes down to really being all about choices, but then, but it's just for it to be, just talking about the bullying stuff, to be so directed at a guy who, if you really break it down, what did he really do to me? Created this environment with a dream character in an amazing show, or so people tell me, right? That was the toast of the town, right? And all he asked from me was to just, like, just show up, be responsible, know your lines, hit your marks, do your fucking job, That were the only demands. Essentially, the stuff I told him before I took the job that I was going to do. So, and then I turn it into that. It's really difficult to really look back on that and figure out why it got that far, how it got that far.
I can help you out.
Okay.
Testosterone and cocaine.
Testosterone and cocaine. Yeah.
Have you having all kinds of conversations with people in your head that'll tell you exactly what you're doing is correct.
Right. Sorry,
Did you ever talk to Chuck? Did you ever Chuck Lorre? Sorry.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. No, that was. I was really grateful we were able to do that.
Oh, that's nice.
I was carrying that around for too long.
Yeah.
He hired me for a show he had a few years ago called Bookie, with Sebastian Maniscalco, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I came in and I played myself, did a few scenes, did a cameo, did some fun stuff, and just back on a set with Chuck, and it just felt like it did in the early parts.
Oh, that's good on him for holding a grudge too.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And
because I'd watched something like a couple days before down with Andrea Canning, and it was this old interview with Charlie Gibson on some special they did for ABC, right? I don't even think it wasn't a GMA piece. It was like a more in depth one of the exposés they do, and it was me coming out of rehab. And I remember watching myself and just being I was like, that guy's fucking sissy, man. That guy's a fucking pussy. What's wrong with him? Look at him, all that shame, all that embarrassment. No. We're not doing that anymore. So that got locked in.
Oh,
yeah, because I remember how I remember how I felt watching me doing it their way.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And then I got the brain full of fucking nuclear crazy cream that I'm fucking just covering myself in, and yeah, that's what 2Ks. It's like the donuts, right?
Right.
And yeah, man, and where material came from, right? Those slogans and all that stuff.
No,
it was Brian Wilson
from the Beach.
No, the Brian Wilson pitcher for the Giants, the guy they called the Beard.
Oh,
yeah. Phone with him like a couple days before that, because Tony and I were watching baseball highlights, and I was like, wow, this guy it's a fucking trip. Tony, get him on the phone, right? And the next day I'm on the phone with him. I think he was just trying to give me a pep talk. He was like, hey man, Joe, the guys like us, we're not like everybody else. We're different, man. We got tiger blood running through our veins. We got fucking Adonis DNA. We don't know how to lose, man, because we're fucking winning, right? So I hear all this, and he's probably thinking, oh man, I just kind of inspired him, maybe just to get to the next moment.
Yeah.
That stuff went in there, man, and it stayed on a fucking loop. And I sat down. The interview doesn't start like that, which is a trip. I'm trying to keep it together. I'm trying to give her the stuff she needs to, like, maybe, I don't know, what was the thrust of that story? Being fired or some shit?
I don't remember.
So, but there's a moment that's not on film. And Andrea can't deny this. She makes a crack about these two girlfriends that I'm living with, right? And asks me to just let it just brush it off, and then answer her next question. And I said, hold on a second. I said, that was really rude. And she's like, which part? I'm like, well, just how you just address them. You owe them an apology. And she was like, okay. I'm paraphrasing some of this, right? But this is the tone of it. And so
how did she address?
I felt that they were dismissed as just like porn chicks, because one was a porn chick, the other was not. It's girl named Natty, so she kind of got rolled into that,
right?
Unfairly, and so then they, Andrea's like, oh my God, okay, I didn't mean anything by that, but I'm over here, with the thing, and I'm not letting it go. I asked her to apologize. We should have been past it. Now I'm stewing. Right? Yeah. And
so you're ramped up now.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's when it turned into... And then I start hearing Brian's stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I have fucking tiger blood. And then it all just... And then it got away from me, and I couldn't pull it back. I couldn't pull it back. Everybody's like, okay, well, that was different. I mean, it's kind of fucking interesting and unique and whatever, man. Well, let's let's just have a quiet night and we'll see how that plays out, you know. And I wake up into a world of not the world I said goodnight to 6 hours earlier. And my friends are banging on the door. People are, you know, sending me, you know, videos and stuff. And he's like, dude, the world's on fire with your man. I'm like, all right, what does that mean? And there's songs and rap songs. And people like marching in the street. There's already T-shirts, and it has just gone. It exploded.
Yeah.
And so it's not like I could jump on my roof with a bullhorn and say, all right, everybody, okay, let's just, you know.
UFC were saying they had tiger blood. They were joking around.
See? Yeah. I mean, it got
away from
penetrated, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it achieved penetration.
Well, no one had ever done an interview like that before.
I wasn't thinking about that in the moment. I was just fucking pissed, and I wasn't going to be silly Charles from the 90s, you know.
Right.
It was like this whole convergence of all these elements and all these emotions and all these feelings, and also the resentment I had in myself, you know, and just like, all right, I'm just going to pick some targets. And you know, would have been nice had it been sort of if I could have just sort of been herded, just kind of, you know, away from it, you know.
Have you ever thought of what it would be like if you didn't do that interview?
I've started to. No, I've started to try to walk into that village, right? Uh-huh. But as soon as I take a look around, none of it really makes sense because I can't really imagine it.
Yeah. Dude, and cocaine. Oh, go back to that vest story, man. So here's what happened. So I would do some cocaine 1,000, put on these different vests.
How many did you buy?
I don't know. I spent too much on them, but probably say the priciest one I had was probably about $210. And so I would fucked up and put these vests on and put on sunglasses and no like Buffalo Bill shit, but at least being by myself, you know. And one time I was making a smoothie, you know, because I got like a new, I don't know what kind of blender it is, pretty nice. And I was making like a nice smoothie, and I'm fucking cut up, I'm partying, you know, I'm living high on the hog. Got these 2 vests on maybe, and I thought I heard something outside, right, which is kind of weird to even think of a blender going, right? So I leave out of my apartment to go in the hallway, lock myself out with the blender in 2:30 in the morning, coked up out of my brain, right? Now I have to go to my landlord, dude, who lives right down the hall.
Oh, no.
And tell him
I got locked out. The blender's on, son. Oh, my God. He must have hated you.
Oh, the blender shorts out and smoke happens. The fire alarm starts going off in the building right as his door knocking, right?
Oh, my God.
So now he's pissed, and he's like, what's going on? And I didn't know what to say. I told him that I was throwing a late Christmas party, dude. It was for January.
How old were you at the time?
Huh? I was 35. Bro, he comes back to my apartment, right? He's fucking pissed. He unlocks the door. There's nobody in there.
Oh, my God.
Man, but that's it. Fun.
Oh, my God.
That was fun.
How long did you live there for?
I still live there. Yeah, we've patched. I mean, we kind of, you know, like I've caught him doing some things. I think I'll leave it.
How long have you been sober for?
2 years. In 2 weeks, it'll be 2 years.
What was the big thing where you like, I got to get my shit there?
Dude, I was going on Opie and Jim when Opie and Jim Norton had a radio Sirius, and it was actually on. It's on stories that show that he had not happening, and I ended up doing coke all night, driving a taxi. I was in the driver, this dude Luigi, got me an escort. I didn't want an escort. Doing cocaine in like Harlem or something, North Harlem.
You, cab driver, doing coke.
I was taking a cab from a party to my hotel, and so we end up off on this other excursion. Next thing you know, I'm in the taxi. He's in the back with the hooker. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I got to be on the radio station at 6:30 or something. So I do the radio, and I can't even talk. And, Daryl Strawberry's the other guest, right? Who's the baseball, who also had drug. But he's like 13 years sober, and so it was this weird moment where like I was kind of cool, but then here's a man who, like, I'd always in my head maybe somewhere thought, oh, that guy's like a cokehead. But then here he is, eloquent, put together, successful, and here I am, I can't even talk. And I'm with two men that I admire, Opie and Jim Norton, just to be honored to be on the show, And so this is, I'm not making choices, like there's some unevenness here,
So what did you do after that?
So program, yeah. And then, so I've been in that then. Since then, it's helped me out,
Have you ever seen anybody confront Rick Ross about you?
Not in person, no. Anytime I'm around, he disappears.
But is there video of anybody hey, why are you running around with this dude's name when this dude's out of jail now?
Well, these guys, they don't like we talked about, when you got some money, they don't care if you beating women or making them lick tampons. Everybody fuck with you.
Right.
So, he was on top of the world at one time.
He was a corrections officer.
Yeah, but he was. But when he got some money, they forgot about he was a correctional officer. You got gangsters, doing records with him, and people who say, "Oh, I hate snitches" and all this, but they doing records with a police officer who put handcuffs. I got letters from guys that was in jail with him when he was a correctional officer, and they told me what a shitty guy he was. That they would be shooting dice. He would take the dice and all the money, and they got extra soup. He'd take the soups, and
wow,
and just stuff that normal officers just don't. Officers. I mean, everybody in jail got extra soups. You save your soups because it might come a time and you ain't got them, so you get your stuff up. But most officers don't even care. Who cares about the extra soup? We trying to get the dope dealers and the guys with the knives, but then you got those ones, and they're like, oh, well, you got an extra pair of underwear. You going to the hole.
Really? And that's how he was?
That's how he was. They say that's the kind of cop he was. And then when I hear that he's the biggest gangster rapper on the planet, it's like...
It's just crazy. What is it like having a dude running around out there with your name? Like, if there was a rapper out there named Joe Rogan, I'd be like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's crazy, like... How would you take my name and not have the decency to ask me first of all? You should have asked, but then never pay homage. He won't even admit that he stole the name. He tells people that he invented the name. Like, how the fuck do you invent this name?
Well, it's so crazy because the name was famous. Your name was famous. Everybody knew who you were. When the case came out, and when the connection to the Iran-Contra affair came out, when everybody found out what was going on, you were a legend.
Yeah, you $1 million, toward Instagram and Facebook and the radio station, and everybody forget about that, And you put a little gold chain on, you drive a Rolls Royce and a couple of pretty girls.
It's one thing if his name was Rick Ross. It's possible. There could be another Rick Ross out there. I've met other Joe Rogans. That's real.
Yeah, me too. I met
the fuck, man. The guy knows who you are. Everybody knows who you are. Takes your name. I mean, it's like it doesn't even make sense that it's like. Didn't you have a case? You had a legal case about it.
I lost.
You lose.
They still filed a lawsuit. The judge got to make a technical decision. She had to make a decision, when did the public first become known of him using my name. So what she did is she picked a little radio station outside of Miami that played his record for the first time. So that was the date that the public first became known that he was using the name.
So there was a statute of limitations of when you were supposed to address?
Yes.
How much time?
2 years.
What?
Yeah, you get years. So if we went by her time frame, I should have filed my lawsuit 5 days before I got out of jail.
Oh, God.
I was fired to find another reason to come up with a date.
Well, the record probably would have helped, right? I mean, think about how much money they're making off of him.
Oh, yeah. They would have owed me. They had 15 lawyers.
Oh,
you know how much money they say they spent on the lawsuit?
How much?
$1.5 million.
Wow.
You know how much they offered me?
How much?
Zero.
They
never come and say, hey, man.
What would you have accepted? Just to
With Joe, my mom, we was getting evicted out of my mom's house during the time of the lawsuit. So I imagine if she was losing her house for $220,000. So if somebody would have came up and said, hey, I'll save your mom's house. Because, I was worried about my mom. My mom was At that time, she was 83, 84, and one of my biggest concerns was her being homeless. So I probably would have took $220,000 if he would have came and said, "Hey, I'm gonna sell your mom's house. Let me have Rick Ross. Change your name to Mitch or whatever."
Well, you would have changed your name. That's crazy.
But I would have
licensed it.
I didn't even care about the name.
Right.
I didn't care about the name like that.
Right.
I just felt that it was so disrespectful that he didn't come and ask me, or he didn't show any consideration or pay any homage to the fact that he actually took my name. So, but yeah, I probably would have took $250,000. If they'd have said $300,000, I'd have been tickled pink, because I felt that I didn't need much money to get started.
At 1.5?
1.5 million. Right now, I owe them $1 million.
What?
Yeah, I'm $1 million. I got
To pay their legal fees.
And then the judge was like, "Oh, well, I don't believe you guys actually spend 1.5 million, but maybe $1 million."
Oh my.
She gave me $1 million judgment.
It's insane for your name, your fucking name, and you can't appeal this.
He appealed it, but once you lose to the appeals court, you're not going to the Supreme Court or anything like that there. So, yeah, that's how he wants being able to continue to use a name. He changed to Rose though, because they thought they might lose.
Right.
If this judge picks a different date, we go to trial.
Right.
And they didn't want to go to trial. I think if they didn't went to trial, everybody in LA would have hammered him. Like, you stole that name. If you'd have heard the thing that he did, because we did his deposition. We took his deposition. That was the first time I ever met him in person. He wouldn't shake my hand either.
Really?
No, when he walked in, all the attorneys, it was a big table. It was about 12 people in the room, and he walks in, and he walks around the table, shakes everybody, including my lawyer. He shakes my lawyer's hands and everybody, and I stood up to shake his hand because I don't have no hard feelings, just give me my money.
Right.
So he rolls his eyes at me and walks away, turns like,
wow.
I ain't, and then he comes up with this, oh my goodness, I don't know where he got the story from. He said he played football in high school, and the whole team was called the Big East. And some guy was trying to call him Big East and accidentally called him the Big Boss, and then somebody else called him Rick Ross. It went from Big Boss to Rick Ross. That's his story.
Most fucking story I've ever heard in my life.
If I'd have judged, I would have hammered him just for saying, come in my courtroom lying like that. I would have been
that's impossible. If he's rapping about drug dealing and money, it's impossible that he doesn't know who you are. Impossible. Not possible.
I agree.
Everybody knew. I knew who you were. I had heard the story.
Well, in
I don't even remember when I read about it.
When Gary Webb posted a story in '96 with the San Jose Mercury News, my name that year was one of the biggest names in the country.
Yeah, because the story's insane.
It was the first time any story had ever been published on the internet by a major newspaper. Remember, the internet was brand new.
Right.
So when they published that article on the internet, no story had ever, because remember the CIA tried to recall that article, but once it hit the internet, it can't be recalled.
They tried to read the article?
You don't remember?
I don't.
The printed copies they stopped doing. They took the CIA emblems off and everything.
Really?
Yeah, they made them take all that stuff off. But the internet couldn't be, you couldn't take it back at the time. Once it hit the internet, it's like, boom, it's all over the world. When you hit that button, ain't no recall.
Right.
If you put something on that thing and you hit that button, what you said is what you said. You're gonna have to live with that.
Right.
So when it went viral, it was nothing they could do, and it just went crazy. So everybody picked it up. CNN, Nightline, Dateline, 2020. I'm doing like 6 interviews from my jail cell every day. Every day, people coming out and talking to me. And I told you, that's when the CIA came down. The CIA came to my jail cell and interviewed me. The CIA, the OIG, Congress, Maxine Waters. I mean, it was like fuck, I become a celebrity in jail. Like, they start treating me different.
What did the CIA say to you in jail?
Did I know about cocaine, being trafficked by the Contras, which, you know, I didn't really know about the Contras. You know, I knew Danilo. I don't know about no damn Contras. And, you know, I knew.
You knew the guy supplying you.
That's all I know. I don't know if he was a Contra or if CIA informant, or I don't know none of that shit. I never cared. You know, I'm an illiterate, you know, 28, 30-year-old guy from South Central, never watched the news, and, you know, I had heard about the Iran-Contra stuff, but that shit didn't mean nothing to me. Had no effect on South Central L.A. You know what I'm saying? Right. I don't know that my prices and my drug quality depending on what happened over there. I'm not paying no attention to that. I'm just worried about, man, my drugs are going to get here on time. Is it going to be cheap? Is it going to be good? So when all that stuff was coming about, they wanted to know how much money I was making, you know, who I bought drugs from, what years I bought drugs, you know, just a whole, basically like an interview.
How do you think it worked? Do you think there's like a rogue element that was inside of the government?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I not mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Because it was a rogue element to it. But the rogue element come from the top as well. Not that they necessarily sanctioned it, but they knew about it. And
they turned a blind eye.
They turned a blind eye. You know, it was a saying, Nancy Reagan said, say no. Ronald Reagan said, act like you know. So
yeah, that's what they did.
They admitted, CIA admitted, yes, we knew they were selling drugs. And we did nothing to stop them. So right there is a crime. Because if you're an agent of the government and you know somebody's committing a crime, you're supposed to stop it.
Right.
They understood that if they stop that, they lose the war.
Right. Phew. It just makes you wonder how much of that shit was going on during the Vietnam War. Because a lot of people think that the Vietnam War was, a lot of it was about moving heroin.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Like, if you are in a bit, especially the Vietnam War, right? Because the Vietnam War was started with a false flag. So the Gulf of Tonkin incident starts the Vietnam War. The Gulf of Tonkin incident never took place. It was a fake incident. And they said, we were attacked by North Korea, North Vietnam. We have to go in there and fight the Viet Cong. Never happened. It was fake. They made it up just to get us to go to war. So if you're willing to kill, who knows how many Americans died in that war? Hundreds of thousands, probably. How many people died during the Vietnam War? How many American soldiers? I think it's close to 100,000, maybe more. And then how many Vietnamese got killed? Like the overall cost of lives is catastrophic, and they did it knowing.
Well, you know that sometimes they feel that
58,220 U.S. Fatal casualties. And that doesn't include how many people were wounded and fucked up for the rest of their life. How many people died totally? How many people died all deaths of Vietnam War? What's the total deaths? That's just American deaths.
And that ain't counting Agent Orange.
Right, right.
Casualties gets bigger because
1.4 million civilian casualties in South Vietnam because of the war.
Casualties just means death.
Right, I understand. Yeah. Including 415,000 deaths, and estimated by the Defense Department gave the figure of 1.2 million civilian casualties, 195,000. It's all controversial, like what the actual number was. 1978 estimated 1,353,000 total deaths in North and South Vietnam during that period. Fuck, man. So if they're willing to do that, you don't think they're willing to make money off drugs? I mean, if they're willing to let people die so that they can achieve their objectives, they're willing to sell.
Well,
drugs.
they felt, you know, to sacrifice a few people to stop what they felt was the greatest threat to America.
Right.
With Russia being on our southern hemisphere, you know, being in Nicaragua. You know, they felt that was the greatest threat at that time to our democracy.
Yeah.
They felt that they would do anything to stop that.
What a great thing to do, though. To think about the sacrifice that what's gonna do to American citizens including the people that, like you, went to jail for helping them. The whole thing's crazy.
Well,
And they probably did it during Afghanistan.
and we still
too.
suffering. It's the homeless problem.
Yes.
Most of the people that's homeless was on crack.
Oh, they sober up and then they become annoying. Mm-hmm. And then they want to talk about their sobriety. Blah.
I cannot stand recovering addicts and that they drive me crazy.
Yeah, they're worse than people who just find yoga. Mm-hmm. Up about recovery.
Yeah,
I'm guilty of that with many things. If I get into something, I can't shut the fuck up about it. But I get it. You know, for them, it's like this pivotal moment in their life where all of a sudden they have their shit together. And just want to talk about it all the time. The thing that drives me nuts, though, is when they judge.
yeah. They always get a little judgy. They're like, "Are you sure? Like, do you need that last drink?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do, and I can handle my shit. So leave me alone."
Hey, I'm sorry you got that fucked up gene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
it
sorry
is,
you
bro.
went too far with it, but I've got it under control.
I like a little buzzed. I like it.
And I'm luckily the drugs and the drinking that I do. It's if I'm going to drink, I drink high quality stuff. Smoke a little weed, but the other drugs don't really do it for me.
Have you found other drugs? What have you
Yeah,
fucked?
just about everything.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just like not for me. Like I've done cocaine, and the next day been like, I just feel stupid. Like I feel like everything that came out of my mouth last night was dumb. I feel like hell. I enjoy weed, chills me out. I like beer and wine and vodka and whiskey.
I have not done a lot of things. I've never done mescaline or peyote. Just basically, I think they're pretty much the same thing. I've never done coke. I've never done meth. I've never done any real amphetamines. I've always been scared of those, though, because those are the ones that I've seen people like really lose their lives for.
And I don't mess with amphetamines at all, and I don't enjoy it. As someone who grinds their teeth, like that's awful. And I found like with comedy, you can't be funny on cocaine. Like, I'm always shocked at comics who do cocaine and are funny because I just find it to be like I can't laugh at anything, and I can't, like, I'm talking too fast, my timing's off, like I'm not thinking in a funny way. But I've always been surprised at comics who have coke problems.
Joey Diaz talked about that because Joey Diaz did coke for years, but he's never done coke and gone on stage. He goes, every time I tried it, I was fucking terrible. He goes, it takes away your soul, your heart. You got no heart when you're up there.
Yeah.
I guess, again, I've never done it, but what I get is just, I get that whole speedy thing where you just like, your sense of how people are perceiving you is distorted. Your timing is distorted.
Yeah. Like I go on stage, hi. I may have a couple beers. I don't want to be slurring. But if I even smoked pot at all that day, it's a worse show for it.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
I think I'm just in my own head. It makes me want to get through the set as opposed to being present and enjoying it. Like I just want it to be over so I can go chill out.
That's interesting.
It's only with weed.
One of my favorite things to do when I would take guys on the road with me is get them so high that they could barely talk, and then put them on stage.
Dude. The first two guys I would open for on the road, it was Doug Benson and Brian Posehn.
Gee Christ!
And they were like, they wanted to smoke all day.
Yeah.
That I was like, every time I was a feature act, like almost every time I was a feature act, I was terrible because I thought like I have to smoke with these guys or they won't take me on the road. But I'm like barely getting through this half hour. Yeah. And I'm terrible.
It's a smart move for someone who's just getting going.